so what? He's a bald man, and some of the comments on TikToks are like, "Boo-hoo, baldy." Oh.
Welcome to Tied Together.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Michaela.
Welcome back.
This week we're talking about depression.
I will start. I'll start with my experience.
Okay. We do have a guest this episode. This is Armani. This is our friend's dog.
She came on a little vacation.
She's a little clingy, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Well, first, actually, do you feel like you have, because I think I just think of this about everybody, do you think that you have like childhood trauma?
I don't think trauma. I don't really want to use that word, but yeah, like my parents have done shit to me. There's definitely shit in my childhood that I've gone through, my teenage years, that I think have fueled my mental health disorders.
I don't think I have any like childhood trauma.
I don't think that I have trauma. I really have had like a pretty blessed life where like nothing awful has happened to me.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you would like define trauma. But I feel like most people's like childhood is what like affects their mental health the most.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, my depression, like the first time I ever thought I was depressed was when I was like 15 years old. We should have started this episode with a little trigger warning. I'm going to talk about self-harm because that is just a big part of my depression story. It was about when I was like 15 when I was like depressed and like went to the doctor and got diagnosed to be clinically depressed.
You were depressed? You were diagnosed?
Yeah,
wow.
I had depression meds when I was 15, but I only took them for like a couple weeks. I just didn't stay on medication. But that's when I started cutting my wrist and being depressed. My mom thought that I was on drugs because I slept all the fucking time. I would come home from school and just sleep.
I do that now.
Like
I love to sleep.
I slept all the time, and literally my mom was like, "Are you doing drugs?"
Your mom always thought we were doing drugs, like no matter what.
At this time, I wasn't even smoking weed yet, so
yeah.
She really was off on that one. I was like, "No, Mom, I just want to kill myself." So
I don't think. I've never been diagnosed with depression. And I don't even think I can really say, like, I've ever been depressed. I think my depression is very situational. It's never, like, clinical, if that makes sense. If that's, like,
You don't think so? Like, everything can be good in your life, and you haven't felt sad?
Not really.
Okay.
Not, like, when I'm sad, there's always something going on in the moment that is making me sad or, like, angry or even, like, anxious. Like, I am diagnosed with anxiety, but I think that's also situational. Like if things are going good, I like feel good. It's like not consistent for me.
I want to say like yes and no. So like back to when I was like 15 and I was feeling depressed and like got diagnosed. I want to say, I don't know. I guess there was stuff going on. Like I was leaving a religion or like I was or discovering myself as leaving a religion. Like I was, contemplating that, and my mom did not know that was going on because I didn't want to tell her that I was not wanting to be a part of the religion that I had grown up in. I had lost a lot of friends. I was in love with a guy who broke my little 15-year-old heart. So I guess it wasn't nothing going on. There was stuff going on, and I guess it did. And your brain is in such that like developmental period at that point that I think I just fucking lost it. So I guess you're right. Because I was gonna say like, oh, like I just get sad for no reason, but I guess it's like there's always something to trigger it.
Yeah. Do you like? I think when I think depression, like you really think into it. It's like way deeper than like what I've ever felt or like could even imagine feeling. But I have pretty bad anxiety. What did you know what medicine you took when you were?
No idea. I have no clue. I didn't take it for long.
It's such a trial and error thing with like mental health meds. I only had to take 2 before I knew before something.
She is on the cord though.
Before something worked for me. So
I think I don't even remember if it like worked or didn't work for me. I think very much I didn't want to be depressed or like labeled as depressed. I was
there's such a stigma around it.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like who knows? Maybe I would have done better in school, or I would have stayed in school if I stayed on depression meds. Like maybe I would have leveled myself out. But I was like, I'm fine. Like I can solve this on my own. Like I'm good.
And that's how a lot of people are because of the stigma, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Or you start taking them and you're like, okay, like I'm better, and then you go off of them. Like when I worked in the mental health field, we saw that a lot. Like
isn't
people,
that like really bad?
Yeah, depending on your mental health diagnosis, it can be like really bad
like
and
make or break.
Yeah, and we saw that a lot like at my job. And every time you go off of your meds, you have like a different baseline. So like you're never the same as you were before.
So what does that mean? Like you'll need a different dose?
Yeah, so your baseline, and don't like no one quote me on this because I'm not like a professional by any means, but like baseline is like where you're at with like no meds. Like it's basically, or like it's the best you're gonna get. And every time you go off of your meds, like that gets set back.
Okay.
And you do have to like start a lot of medications over because you can't just jump right back into the same dose that you were on.
So is it basically like if you're going on depression meds, like it's for the rest of your life? Is that typically the case?
You're supposed to wean off of them. Like you're never supposed to stop anything.
So it's like your doctor guides you through the weaning off. Okay.
Yeah. I started taking Lexapro in like, I think it was, I don't even know, it was when me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, like 2022. And I think I started taking them like a month before we broke up, and it ended up like being perfect timing because I knew like the first time we broke up how much of like in a dark place that I was. So I wasn't like in that at all when we broke up the second time. And I don't know if that's more the fact that like I just knew it had to end and like I was over it, or more so just that I was on medication. Like I guess I'll never really know.
Do you think it made you more level-headed?
Yeah. So, and like I said, it's trial and error for everybody. So not the same med works for everybody the same way, but Lexapro made me, it was amazing. It was like, I never worried about anything. I was never anxious. I was never sad. Like I couldn't cry about anything though. Like I had, like nothing was sad to me.
Yeah.
So that was like a little weird, but it was like worth not ever being like, I did not care about anything.
Like you wouldn't spiral.
Yeah. So I stopped taking it when I started dating my ex-boyfriend because it was like pointless to be taking it during that time because it wasn't helping me. I did stop them like completely cold turkey. I would take like one random pill like every now and then. I don't know. I thought maybe like I knew it wasn't gonna do anything, but I was like convincing myself that I was like gonna go back on them, and I never did. And there was a time he like told me, he was like, I don't know if I told you this, maybe I told our friend, but he was like, something else is wrong with you. Like you're not just anxious, like you need to see a doctor and like you need to go on like different medications. Like he had convinced me
fucked up
that like something else was wrong with me, and I literally scheduled a doctor's appointment. Aww. And then I ended up canceling it because like I know myself and I know my mental health and you don't.
Yeah.
So I just think it's so ignorant for other people to try to like diagnose you or like convince you of your own mental health.
Yeah.
But I am going to go, I have a doctor's appointment this week. I think I am going to go back on it, but like low dose, like 5 milligrams.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't really feel anxious now, but I think a low dose would just like really do the trick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to say.
My anxiety is not as bad as it used to be. I don't know. I don't know if I say that I'm like, when I'm feeling bad, if I'm depressed or if I'm anxious. I think for the majority of the part, my issue is anxiety. I feel like I haven't been depressed in a while. When we first moved into this house, so February of last year? No. Yeah, February of last year. Anyways, I just got into this like pit. Like I was depressed all the time. Like I was just crying all the time. I was so sad, crying constantly. I was deep into it. Like it was bad. Like I didn't want
you telling me that.
to like be here anymore. And there was really nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I mean of like, there's not always something going on, because there really wasn't. Dan literally said, he was like we have a house, like everything should be good. Like we had just bought a house. Like that's amazing. Right. And I was like, no, I can't do this. Like I'm going to clock
and you,
out.
like never went to the doctors or like addressed it? Did you do therapy?
No, I haven't done therapy in a long time. I just like worked through it, I guess. I'm not saying do that. Yeah. You should go to the doctor.
Don't take any mental health advice from us. Seriously. No. By no means professionals. This is just our own experience.
Like,
and
I'm being so serious. Like, don't take any advice from this episode.
I went to therapy only like, we talked about it, like only a couple sessions. But now that my insurance is active again, I'm gonna definitely go back.
I want to go back too. I want to find a therapist here in the town I live in. Yeah. I just don't want to do it over the phone.
Yeah, I hate.
I don't want to do Zoom or over the phone. I don't know.
Yeah, I hate telehealth. I'm not really into that. So do you ever have like any plans like to see a doctor or to be medicated? Like, is that still something you're like against? Or do you feel like right now you don't need that?
I do feel like right now I don't need it.
Okay.
But it is scary when you do randomly get into those pits. So it's like, who am I to say that I don't need something? Because what if I literally, my brain is just like, oh, you actually hate yourself and you do want to die. Like it is scary.
And it's so crazy to think like no one can convince me that there's one person in this world without a mental health diagnosis of some sort. Like anxiety and depression are almost always hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like if you're diagnosed with anxiety, I feel like you're almost always diagnosed with depression. Like they're so similar. But I feel like now, I don't know if like we're like breaking the stigma around it, but everyone has a mental health diagnosis.
And I do think we've come so far as to how many people do talk about their disorders. Like TikTok is full of people talking about it. Right. And I think it's so great. Like it is so important. And that's why I'm saying, like, do not take advice from me, because you should go to the doctor. Yeah. You should see a therapist.
And don't take advice from TikTokers. Just, like...
do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Do research. Talk to a doctor. But I think everyone should be in therapy.
Yeah, I agree. I wish it wasn't... It needs to be, like, covered by healthcare, like, completely. Yeah. No one should have to pay to be treated.
No.
Like... or not have depression. I don't know. It's so crazy.
Universal healthcare would be nice.
But I think that there's still...
That's a different episode.
There's still such a stigma around, like, men's mental health. And that is, like... I don't know. I am very interested in men's mental health. Like, it's sad that...
It is. My husband being a veteran and a man, it's a big topic of conversation in our household. Like, it's really, really sad. I just think about like my own father, like growing up, mental health wasn't a thing. And that's because my family is like country, like, and also just like very old school. Like my grandparents were pretty old school. Like depression was not a thing. So another reason I stopped taking my medicine when I first got it, when I was 15, maybe I was 16 when I went on it, was my dad was like pissed about it. Yeah. I would have to like hide taking because I was still young enough to be going over to his house on the weekends. And I would like have to not take my medicine in front of him. Like he was pissed. And that's crazy.
That is insane. But do you think that comes from like a place of guilt? Like he felt like he didn't.
Yeah, I do. But that's the thing, right? Is my dad like has been really, really bad about talking about his emotions and stuff. So he'll like, I think a lot of when he got mad at me was him feeling guilt. Yeah. But he was never taught to regulate his emotions. He was never taught to communicate properly. Yeah. Never taught that it's okay to feel sad or depressed or whatever. Never taught that. And that's scary. It's bad. And that's how you ruin relationships. If I haven't worked on myself and my depression and like my own issues, we might not have a relationship because we butted heads so much.
Yeah, I think I've always been pretty open with my parents about my mental health. But I've just always had like a good relationship with them in general. And that's what I kind of mean by like no childhood trauma. Like my parents are still married. I had a very good childhood.
Yeah.
Like my parents
They're
weren't
so
married for the kids. Like they were just like married to be married and like in love. And that was like really important for me and my sisters to see. And I think that it like played a big role in like, because like that stuff as a child, like it does have a big effect on you as you get older.
It goes a long way.
And I never had to deal with that, which I'm extremely grateful for. But I've always been pretty open, especially with my mom, about my mental health. Like there's definitely times I've texted her like, dude, I want to kill myself. And a lot of the time, like she thinks I'm being dramatic. But it's also hard to be open with her because she takes it so to heart. Like she will like cry over it.
Yeah.
So I try not to like
is a crier.
say, yeah, she cries over everything. Side note, one time we were going out for my birthday in high school and it was a snowstorm and my mom knew that we had to drive and she started bawling her eyes out, like begging us not to go out.
That's really sad. Like we really were 17 years old. Like we probably shouldn't have.
We were all looking at each other like, what the fuck? She was like bawling. But anyways, I see now where she was coming from.
For sure. I would be like, no, you're not leaving the house. Like, you actually aren't going to be 17 years old and going to a party. But
I, unfortunately, at the time would have said, no, I am going.
Oh, no, we did. That's what we did. We said, no, we're leaving.
But yeah, she is a crier, and she's, like, very emotional. And it's hard for me to say I don't know, my dad's pretty in touch with his emotions. Like, I've seen him cry a couple times. And he's, like, very expressive of the way that he's feeling. My mom is, like, clinically depressed, like, diagnosed depression. And she has been her whole life, but she has, like, a lot of childhood trauma. So, I don't know, I just don't. I feel like my parents broke, like, a lot of, like, a generational curse.
That's good. I think my mom did pretty good. It was, like, my grandma sucked. My mom did her best and did pretty good.
Yeah.
But not all the way. And so I feel like now I'm like going to be like really, really breaking like generational curses. Because same thing with my mom. She had a bunch of childhood trauma. Like my grandma sucked, was like not a good person. But my mom wasn't the best. Like me and her butted heads a lot because we both were depressed and we would scream at each other and whatever. But we have I want to say we have such a good relationship. Like at the end of it, like we would slam doors and scream, and then at like an hour later we would like talk it out. And she was always there for me, like always had my back no matter what. Yeah. Even if it like wasn't, I want to say even if it wasn't for the best, because she like let me drop out of high school because I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. So like she was so supportive.
She was manipulating her mom to let her drop out of high school.
No, I really was.
Let me drop out or I'll kill myself.
No, I really was gonna kill myself. But maybe she could have like put her foot down a little bit more. Like maybe she was too supportive. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like she should have been like, okay, Michaela, let's do something else besides dropping out of high school. She was like, well. No, she was like, okay, I believe you.
That's fine.
But going back to like the parent thing real quick, like so my dad like hated the word depression. Like hated that I was like taking medicine and hating that I was like almost like feeding into this like depression thing. But my mom was like the opposite end. They were two opposite ends, right? But my dad didn't have to see what my mom saw. Like my mom didn't have to see, or my dad didn't have to see my wrist tore up and like me like not being able to breathe because I'm crying so hard. Like my dad didn't have to see that. He was pretty lucky. He didn't have to deal with that. Yeah. So how easy it is for him to just be like, yeah, you're fine. You're good.
Yeah. I remember like very vividly, my dad is just like, I don't know. He's like always in a good mood. Like sometimes he's in a bad mood, but like always has like pretty good energy. But I remember when me and my ex-girlfriend broke up and I was so depressed over it. And he was like, well, there's a lot of other girls out there. Like you'll find one. And he's like, He's like, well, you'll always have your dad. Like, he's just like, I have text messages of that, and he's just like, I think I had like a hard time understanding why I was like ever depressed or like anxious, but like never like made me feel like shit about it.
Yes.
And same with my mom.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, but I also think that's like part of the stigma, right? Of like, why are you sad? Right. Everything, like, you're good, right. Like, everything's fine. Like, that's not great. But that's about education in the stigma is there could be zero reason for you to be depressed, or some people are just stronger. No, I don't want to say stronger than others. That's not the right word to say, but like some things would trigger some people that wouldn't trigger others. Right. I didn't mean to say stronger than others. It's not what I'm trying to say.
I was watching, this is like kind of like not off topic, but just back to men's mental health. I saw a TikTok the other day of that pilot who was like depressed and ended up like self-medicating with shrooms. Mm-hmm. And he had taken shrooms, and then 2 days later went in like the passenger seat of like a cockpit.
Yeah.
And he started like freaking out so bad. Like he thought, like, in his words, like nothing was real. So he pulled like the emergency lever that shuts down the engine.
Yeah.
And he's like facing like a life in prison sentence over that. Like what are your thoughts about that?
I kind of feel bad for him.
I do feel bad for him.
Like really
and
sad.
All the comments are like he's so what? He's a bald man. And some of the comments on TikToks are like, boo-hoo, baldy. Like you. Yeah, it's just like, you don't know what you would do in that situation. Like, obviously.
Like, he should probably get put on the do not fly list.
No, absolutely. He's never going to fly again. He's never going to be a pilot again, obviously.
But, like.
But nobody died.
But, like, free him, I think.
Right. I fear we need to free him.
I really do feel sad for him because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a little clip of his interview, and he was like, it's something that I will always wish I could take back, and I never can.
30 seconds of his life.
He said
like
I could never. He said nothing will ever change. I did it, but I wish that I could take it back every day.
I know, and I hate to say, oh, well, nobody died, because obviously that's not the point. Like, you still it was like 84 people's lives at risk. Like,
and it's traumatic.
If I were on that plane, I would probably be screaming, like, lock him up.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, like, the engines didn't shut down. Nobody died. Like, nobody was hurt. But obviously, people are traumatized. Like, I'm sure there's people on that flight that are never flying again, right? Like, they're so scared.
That is pretty fucked up.
But, yeah, that's, like, he obviously caused a lot of people a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
But it's like his mental health was just not addressed. And I think he was like, I don't know if I remember him saying in the video, like, men are just ashamed to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so he's, like, self-medicating because he doesn't want to tell anyone, hey, I'm depressed, like, I need. And also, if you have, like, mental health, like, they're probably going to say, oh, you can't be a pilot.
I don't think pilots can be on, like, any sort of depression meds or it's like, anything.
That's probably his dream. And so he has to choose between his dream or being mentally healthy.
That is really sad.
So I think that a lot of people in the comments weren't looking at it from that point of view.
Yeah.
Like, that is really sad.
Because it's like, okay, I was just about to say, well, yeah, I don't want my pilot to be fucking depressed.
Right.
But that's not really the reality. I mean, I guess people exist like that where you're fine every single day, but like, is that reality? Is that real life?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that just makes you think, like, who in this world doesn't have, like, moments of depression?
Yeah.
How do you know that any pilot driving any plane, flying any plane at any time isn't going to feel like that? Like, you don't, it's...
Like, they're not just sitting in the freaking cockpit for hours on end, not thinking about shit that's going wrong in their life. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And if they can't take depression meds, I don't even know if this is fact or not. I just thought that it was. But, like, I don't think that they can have it be on any meds or anything. That could completely be false. But, like, maybe we need to reevaluate this.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know someone who was, like, a class away from being a pilot. And he had a psychotic break, and he ended up being diagnosed schizophrenic, and they wouldn't let him be a pilot.
Yeah, maybe not.
But it's like, where is the line?
No, I know.
Like, there's no clear line between, like,
I do agree.
What diagnosis is. Can you have any diagnosis? Can you not?
Yeah.
And it's just like, just properly medicate. Like, make men feel comfortable enough to talk about their mental health so that they're not choosing between flying a plane because that's their dream or being on fucking medicine.
Yeah.
And it also brings me to, like, I've seen just, like, people joking on Facebook, like, I can't stand a bitch of a man, like, stop fucking crying.
That makes me so sad.
And it's like, okay, if you're a man and you're crying over, like, little fucking, like, the littlest thing, right, that, like, or, like, throwing a temper tantrum, like, that is different than, like, expressing your emotions and being sad. And
I think that's anybody. I think that's a man or a woman.
Yeah, but I feel like some women look at any man who cries over even, like, whether it's that they're, like, actually depressed or, like, a little thing, and they're like, oh, you're a bitch.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's sad.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, you're saying, like, if a man is, like, crying over, like, any little thing, that's just, like, you can't regulate your emotions, but that's also a woman.
Yeah.
Like, also, if you're a woman and you're just, like, you can't handle, like, any little situation.
Me.
Right. But there's, like, something you need to address there, because I've had to work on my anger issues a lot in my life. Like, that was my issue when me and Dan were first married, was my anger.
Really?
That stems from that. I'm fucking depressed, though. You know what I mean? And it's called, like, you have to regulate your emotions.
I don't think I've ever felt anger.
Dude,
like, I mean, I have, obviously, but I'm not an angry person by any means.
To me, maybe I'm making excuses for myself, but my anger was coming from depression. Like, I was severely depressed. I wanted to constantly off myself. So it came out in anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, crazy. I used to throw my phone against the wall all the time. I had to get a new phone.
I can't even picture you doing that.
All the time. That was, like, my thing, was throwing my phone at the wall all the time.
Oh my God, Desiree did that recently. You guys should meet.
But, like, you gotta get over it. You gotta work through it.
Yeah, I've never been, like, an overall angry person.
So we'll have to bring Dan on to talk about men's mental health. But I just want to go back to that by saying, so we're talking about, like, the pilot situation and how, like, in any field of work, I feel like there needs to be some help and guidance.
Right.
I want to say, like, the Army was good and the Army was bad, because the Army was the first reason why we got into marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Because as soon, like, the Army really cares about marriage. Like, you know, they care about people being married and staying married. But so that was, like, the first time we ever went to counseling was through that. No, I think I went to therapy as a teenager. But anyways, the Army sent us to marriage counseling a couple times, and that was really good. But I think there's a huge stigma around of, like, you might not get promoted if you're constantly complaining about how depressed you are, or you might not get put on, like, the jobs you want to get put on because of this, or, you know, you might not get deployed if you're depressed, so you can't talk about it. Like, very much like you have to hide it. And I think that's where a lot of veteran suicides is a really big thing. It's really, really terrible.
Yeah, and I think, just the military aside, I don't think, like, our government takes veterans' health seriously, like, at all.
No. It's a big thing. It's a big problem.
It's pretty fucked up when you really think about it.
Sad.
It's like
the amount of, or even just, like, homeless veterans, like, it's crazy.
The homeless population in general is so sad, but I don't know. I think we just need to, like, I couldn't imagine having a partner who was, like, struggling and, like, telling them, like, they're not allowed to talk about it.
That is
or, like,
so sad.
Cry. Yeah, it's, like, it is sad. And I see some people on Facebook, like, make jokes about it. Like, and I can take a joke, okay? I joke about fucking everything. Everything on Facebook is funny to me. And, like, I laugh about it. But, like, when you really think about it, like, stuff like that, like you're saying, like, oh, he's a bitch, like, a man, like, you're a pussy.
Yeah. Like, it's literally like the be a man joke, right? Like, yeah, don't do this, be a man. And you can, whatever, if you take it as a joke, it can be funny. But people really think that way. Yeah. Some people really do. I don't know. I feel like you're a fucking sociopath if you don't cry and you don't show any emotion. Right. So I think you're crazy if you don't.
Yeah, I feel like I'm personally very emotionally intelligent. I'm like very in touch with my emotions.
I think I am too.
I'm very aware of my emotions. I do have like a pretty hard time actually talking about them. Like, I'm personally aware of them. I like show them to myself, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do have like a hard time like actually talking about them to other people.
Have you ever
like sometimes it just feels awkward.
I agree. And I think therapy can be awkward.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried journaling?
Maybe one time, but
I wish that I could do it. Like, I feel like I buy a bunch of journals. Like, I try to get into it. I want to.
Well, now that Michaela gave me a new computer, so I'm going to start journaling.
Well, it's an old computer. It's not a new computer. I gave her my 15-year-old laptop.
It's not that old.
No, it's not. But maybe the laptop will help you do that. Because I feel like that would be a good outlet to get your emotions out. Yeah. But I feel like I'm the same way. I used to be bad about it. I have had to grow into my emotional intelligence, but now I'm pretty good at being like, this is why I feel this way.
I'm like never in denial about the way I'm feeling. Like I know, but I think I will definitely lie to like even like you and Toby, like if you guys like ask me how I'm feeling about something, like I'm not always that truthful.
It's very much like, downplay your shit.
It's like just awkward kind of. I don't know. And I think that like that's something I need to work on.
But it's so important to have like a back support.
Uncomfortable to like talk about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some things it's just like awkward. Like when we bring up or like we talk about like how I dated a literal fucking psychopath. And I'm like, yeah, haha, like joking about it, but really like fucking traumatizing.
Yeah.
And I just like, I don't know, it's just like so, I don't know how to explain it.
But that's what therapy is good for because it's okay. I don't feel like that's something you have to change because it's very personal and maybe like embarrassing or awkward. So like that's like, I don't think that's something you have to change, but it's something of like, if you truly need like help, you need to say something because that's what your friends are for.
So here is, and I think I did when like I told you guys like, hey, by the way, listen, like I have been with this man for the past.
And you did, you did.
Like when it really comes down to it, I do, but just like in like regular conversation, I really don't. But random question, do you think your feelings are easily hurt by like anybody?
I'm pretty sensitive, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
But, like, I act like I'm not really. Well, I don't know, because here's my thing. And you've said it before. Like, you can't tell me something about myself that I don't already know.
Yeah.
Like, I know everything you can say about me. Mm-hmm. And but like, why are you saying it? You know what I mean? Like, shut up.
I think that's like, I think that's where I'm at.
Leave me the fuck alone.
But it's like, okay, yeah, you can't tell me anything I don't know about myself, but that doesn't mean I'm not insecure about things about myself.
Right. No,
like, I know them, but I'm insecure about it, so why are you saying that?
Right. Like, I will probably punch you in your mouth if you say it again. Like, it...
Me and Toby have gotten into fights before because I'm so sensitive, because she'll, like, say something that, like, annoys me or pisses me off, and I won't say anything about it. Yeah. But then if we get into a little fight, I'll be like, and you said that. And so she's like, well, what the fuck, Michaela? And so it's like that sort of thing. Like, I kind of remember like everything someone says about me. Yeah. Or not about me, but like if someone says something that hurts me, I'll like remember it forever.
It sticks with you.
And yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up about Toby, because Toby is very also like good about I think
she's the best one of us of expressing it.
She will talk about her emotions or like her feelings on anything,
or like
and like fully expect you to do the same. Like she is like, don't hold back. Like, how do I make you feel?
That's like, where all of our fights have come from.
She's very, and if she finds out that she said something that hurts your feelings and you didn't address it, like she's gonna be upset. She's like very, very good about expressing her emotions.
She'll just text me and be like, "Hey, you did this and it upset me." Yeah, and I'm always like, "Cool,
I will never do that in my life. I will never tell a soul, "Hey, you did this and it hurt my feelings." Well, not my friends, but I will tell like.
No, I'm the same way.
I'll tell a man about himself really fast, but I won't say that to my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also remember, like, shit people say to you is, like, it really does stick with you.
Yeah.
Like, never mind, I don't even want to get into it because it's, like, so crazy, but it's, like, sad, especially in, like, relationships.
Yeah.
Like, when your partner says something to you that's, like, so off the fucking wall.
Yeah.
And, like, and then you stay with them. That's, like, my biggest thing. I'm, like, I will think about that, what you said, every single day, but, like, I'm not going to leave. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe I will now after my last relationship. I'll never put up with it again. But, yeah, dude, that shit will, like, eat at you.
Yeah.
Like, I already know it, but why are you speaking on it?
Yeah.
It's just...
I feel like pretty blessed in my relationship in that regards of, like, me and Dan have gone through other things, but Dan is, like, never mean to me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine people in, like, relationships where someone isn't mean to them because I'm so sensitive.
Yeah.
I could not deal with that. Like, if me and Dan got into a fight and he wanted to, like, hurt my feelings, I don't think I could.
And it's like
I don't
when
think I could
you're
deal with
married for that long, right?
You
like,
could hurt someone's feelings.
Right, exactly. Like, you know what to say, like, especially when you're dating someone. And when I was dating my ex-girlfriend, I was, like, overly sensitive to a fault. Like, there was a lot of things that she would say that, like, I didn't need to be sensitive about. Like, she didn't mean it the way that it came out. And I know that now. But that was, like, a big downfall of our relationship because the way that I reacted to things, like, I just took it too...
Do you think that you've worked on that? Do you think you're less sensitive now?
Well, I don't really know because my last relationship, like, I had every right to be sensitive about the shit you were saying and the shit you were doing.
You need to get into a regular relationship to see if you've changed.
So I don't know. Like, my ex-girlfriend was, like, my most, like, normal relationship, and I was, like, way overly sensitive about everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because then again, it's, like, not at the beginning, but then towards the end I was, and it's because I was insecure that I was being dogged out because I was being dogged out.
No, you really can't. So, that's not, like, a good reference. Yeah. But do you think that all of your depression has come from relationships?
Not necessarily. I don't know. Maybe because, like, I'm never really sad about anything else in my life. Like, nothing else for me has really ever been, like, sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't want to, like, bring up something you don't want to talk about so we can crop it or cut it out. No, but, like, fine. I think that you're pretty depressed, like, about yourself. Yeah. As am I. Yeah. Or maybe you're not depressed. Maybe
we don't have to cut that out. We can talk about it. Yeah, no, 100%. That and, like, I think relationships and just, like, maybe, like, my self-image. Or,
and
like,
bad relationships make you insecure.
Yeah, are the only things that I really think I'm, like, ever sad. Not depressed, but, like, sad about. But, yeah, no, I think so. But I also think that the way I feel about myself and, like, my insecurities is why, like, I allow people to, like, treat me the way that they do. Yeah. You know, like... Yeah. So, I don't know. A lot to work on. Maybe I do need to get back into therapy. This is fucking opening some wounds. Sorry. No, it's okay.
Because that's what I feel like now being an adult. Like, when I was a teenager, I think that, like, when I first ever felt depressed, like, there was all those events that triggered it. Yeah. But I think since then, or, like, as an adult, my depression and anxiety is usually, if I had to pinpoint it, I think it's all about how I will think I'm a fucking loser. Yeah. Like, I'm 30 years old and, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have, like, a career or, like, I don't have, like, you know, it can go on and on.
Yeah, I think all the time. And I know, like, me, Toby, and Michaela always talk about, like, having kids and, like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have kids. But I don't ever know, like, when I really think about it, like, I don't know, do I not want kids? Or am I just saying that because I don't think I'll ever have kids? No. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just, like, get really in my head about that because there's sometimes, like, when I was with my ex-girlfriend, like, I wanted to be married and I wanted to have kids. Yeah. And now I'm like, I don't really care about marriage, which I really don't care about marriage. That is like accurate. But when it comes to kids, like, do I actually not want kids? Or do I feel like I'm almost 30 and I'm not close to having kids? So like, at what age do I say, okay, like, you're not having kids? Like, I don't want to be 35 and pregnant, and not against anyone who is, but like, I just want to have, I wanted to have kids before I was 30.
Yeah.
Like, that was like always my cutoff. Mm-hmm. And that is in like 15 months. So I don't know. So I just think about that a lot, and that makes me kind of depressed.
I've had to work on the concept of aging with myself. Like, I used to be like terrified of getting old.
I still am.
Or I would be like, my life needs to be this certain way by 30. And it's like, okay, by 30, I'm going to be skinny and successful and happy and whatever. And now I'm like, okay, well, I have 7 fucking months before I'm 30. So I've had to like be like, okay, I'm going to embrace getting older. Yeah. I want to be
I'm like, scared.
I don't even know, dude. I can go on and on about it, because that's been a big thing for me, is like, I'm a loser, and like, I need to get my life together. You're not a loser,
but I feel like that is like everybody every year. They're like, okay, this is going to be my year.
And I hate it. It's like,
and I do it too. And I'm like, dude, it's never my fucking year. Like, this year definitely wasn't my fucking year.
This year's not my year.
Like, no. So maybe next year we'll see.
I do think 20s are really fucking hard. 20s have been really difficult and awful. Not awful. I'm being dramatic. I have a lot of blessings in my life. Yeah. But 20s are freaking hard. So now I'm kind of like excited for 30s.
I'm terrified to turn 30.
Because I just want to be better. I want to be the best version of myself. And it wasn't the 20s to do that in. Yeah. So it's like I have no choice. It has to be the 30s.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that 30s are like,
you're smarter, you're wiser. Hopefully you have your life more together.
Oh, God, dude, I don't know. Like, I guess when you like say that and like put it into perspective, like thinking about my future does trigger me and makes me like pretty sad or like anxious.
Yeah, that's where my anxiety will come from, is I just get really anxious where I'm like, oh my God, I have this and this to do. I need to do this, but I'm not doing this. Like, that's a lot of my anxiety, is things I wish I was doing, but I'm making no moves to do.
Yeah. Story of my life. Yeah. I said I was moving to Oregon for literally like 8 years.
But you did it.
I think I started saying it in 2015. I'm not kidding. And that was like 9 years ago.
I think doing this podcast has helped me a lot feel a little bit better. Like, we're like doing productive. Something. Yeah. We're doing something to fuel our future. Yeah. Yeah, productive. It's just doing something, right?
And it's fun.
I'll get really depressed if I'm just like going to work every day, coming home, doing it all again, and not doing anything else to like better myself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's.
What do you think are your best coping mechanisms when you are feeling sad or
anxious?
I need a nap. Is that
I immediately need a nap. I'm not kidding. A nap will fix everything for me. Yeah. Like, I will wake up feeling
refreshed, really?
I don't know. Sometimes I wake up feeling even worse. It depends. But I do love a good nap. Other than that, dude, I don't think I have any. Maybe that's part of my problem.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty important to have good things. I'm pretty lucky because like me and Dan will like going places is a big thing. Like changing your environment is a huge thing. So like we'll just drive to the coast, look at the ocean. Like that's a main one. But in my day-to-day life, I'll veg out. And that's like my toxic trait where I feel like I'm having a bad day, so I'm gonna not feel guilty about being in bed all day on my Switch or on my phone or reading a book. Yeah. But really I'm making myself worse. Yeah. You know?
I don't know. Dude, I'm
not saying you should
love to lay in bed.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying you should feel guilty for doing that, because everyone deserves mental health days and everyone but it's like if I'm feeling guilty about not doing shit in my life and then I do more not shit. Yeah. It's like I feel worse, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I love doing nothing. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I think that I have different coping mechanisms for different things. Like Like when I'm just feeling like shitty about myself or like, I don't know, something someone said, like I will take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I feel shitty about my future, which like triggers me sometimes, I will like, I don't know, try to like think like I'll
Like
get in like,
or...
yeah, I will get in like these modes where I'm like, okay, I'm going back to school or like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and I will like look into it for like 3 days. Like I will Google fucking everything.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I like forget that I even Googled any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Mental health is pretty fucking crazy.
It is.
Yeah, I worked in it for 5 years, and it was so hard.
Yeah, you saw a lot of shit.
And like, depression and anxiety is just scraping the surface. Like, mental health goes so deep.
Yeah.
In shit. Like, I've seen things that, like, at work, like, people couldn't even imagine even hearing about. It's sad.
Yeah.
Dude, it's sad. And there is not enough resources and not enough services and not enough funding. That's why it's so crazy.
I know. And you know that firsthand.
Yeah. It's fucking sad.
How much of a revamp it needs, right? Yeah. It is sad. When we went to Australia, we were talking to this couple. We were at the Sydney Opera House, and there's like a bar outside, and we just sat down next to this couple and started talking, and we were just like asking them, you know, questions, whatever, you're in a different country, like, and we were talking about universal healthcare because I am a big advocate for it. Like, I think America needs universal healthcare. I think it works in a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
So I was asking them about it. Like, I'm interested in it, and they're like, yeah, like, it's great, right? Like, why wouldn't it be great? And they were also saying, like, they didn't think that mental health crisis was such a big deal. It's not that it doesn't exist, that's impossible, but they didn't think it was such a big deal because there was no reason for you to not get help.
Right.
Why wouldn't you get help? If you don't want to get help, it's your own fault.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
So they really were like, yeah, why not? Like, you have no reason to not
be. The people here can't afford to do it.
Can't afford to do it, or not talked about enough, or not accessible. You know, Oregon is really good. I can't speak on other states because I haven't done it, but Oregon is very easy to get free health insurance. Like, it's easy to do. It's easy to sign up for, but you can't get an appointment anywhere. Yeah. You're booked 6 months out for an appointment, and you might...
I'll kill myself.
You might off no, literally. You might off yourself.
Not funny, but yeah.
No, for real. So, especially when I lived on the coast in a small town, getting an appointment in a small town, like, no way, dude. Right. And not everyone can drive an hour and a half to go to a bigger city. Not everyone has that. Yeah. So that's what's difficult about it. So it's sad. And some people just don't want to help themselves, right? Yeah. Maybe I'm one of them because I don't go to the doctor and I don't go to therapy right now. I do want to get back into therapy.
I can't wait to go back to therapy, but yeah, I don't know. I think the mental health is like what's the word I'm looking for? Epidemic?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is, right? An epidemic?
Yeah, it's really sad.
And I do think, like, TikTok, I think, has been great.
TikTok is amazing.
But there's, like, a dark side to TikTok, right? Or to the internet. If you find yourself on, like, the Andrew Tate side of media, that's harmful for, like, young boys or teenage girls. Like, so it's like, it's both. Social media is both, right? It depends on what you listen to, like, what you engage in.
Yeah, social media has to be a whole different episode because I could talk about social media forever.
We'll save that because I was going to talk about how sometimes I have to just delete the Instagram app off my phone. Yeah. Because everyone's richer than me, skinnier than me, happier than me, prettier. Yeah. Like, that's
how I feel about TikTok sometimes.
One time I did when I was feeling really depressed about my weight. I mean, because how I look is also a huge factor of my depression. But one time on Instagram, instead of deleting the app, I went and unfollowed everyone that didn't look like me and followed more people that looked like me. And I think it really helped. Yeah. But then I was like, well, but I actually don't want to look like that. I want to look like this. So now I'm going to follow people that I want to look like.
Yeah, dude. It's a lot. Social media is insane.
Yeah, that'll be we'll do that for another episode. What about what about other people who are depressed? Like, how do you feel I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like, about helping other people or like advice, I guess. Because I feel like I'm not good at giving advice.
I'm not. I don't think I am either. And I don't think that an unhealed person should be trying to heal another person. Like, I don't, or like even help them heal. Like, it obviously, like, giving friendly advice, sure, but it literally is the blind leading the blind. Like, dude, I can't help you be any less depressed, or like vice versa. Like, we're just gonna be a bunch of fucking depressed friends. I don't know. Like,
I feel like that's something I've actually had to work on, is just being more of a support, like a listening ear and a support system, because I think I'm pretty bad at like wanting to fix. This piece of hair is really bad. I'm like pretty bad about wanting to fix every situation that my friends are in, because I feel so bad. So I'm like, no, you need to do this, this, and this, but like that's not always what you want.
Yeah.
Right? You just want someone to listen to your issues.
Yeah, and I think that is, like, when I'm venting, I think that's what I want more, is, like,
just,
like, you don't have to say anything. Just, like, let me get it out, I think. I think that Toby more so, she is, all like, she, like, looks for advice. Like, she's good at, like, she's looking for, like, someone to tell her, like, give her advice on something. I'm not like that. I don't want fucking advice. I don't know about you, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
Just like let me self-loathe for like an hour.
Yeah.
And just get it out of my system, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's like really what
It's really hard for me to do that. To like let you just self-loathe, because I'm like, here's something that will fix it. Or here's a way to think that'll fix it. Yeah. And I know that I'm bad about that. I know I am. And but like I hate it. I hate my friends feeling sad. Like, I wish I could just change it all. I would take, fixing everyone else's problems over mine. Like, I'll be depressed for the rest of my life if I could just make everyone else feel better. Because I know what it feels like, right? Like, I don't want anyone to ever feel like what I've ever felt like in my worst times. That is the saddest thought ever to me.
For sure.
But just keep going, right? Don't give up.
Yeah, no, but seriously, if you are like ever always consult a doctor or a therapist. Yeah. It really is, I mean, do what works best for you, but it really is just so dangerous to try to take shit like into your own hands and like,
I know.
Think that like you're treating yourself the way you should be, because just seek a professional's help. I don't know. That's the only advice I can I feel like give. So.
It is the best advice. And what you just said, like the way you're treating yourself, though, like treat yourself kindly. Yeah. Be nice to yourself. Talk to yourself nicely.
Give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm. Life is hard.
It is.
And be nice to yourself. Yeah. That's the hardest. I think that's the hardest thing to do. Is talk nicely to yourself. I wish I was better at I think it was Kendall Jenner was talking about her mental health, and she was talking about how she put a picture up. I think her therapist told her to do this. Mm-hmm. Get a picture of you as a little girl and put it up on the mirror. And then when you're like saying bad things to yourself, like that's who you're speaking to.
Yeah. That will make me cry.
I wish that I was better at doing things like that, but I think maybe I'm like, I feel corny or something, or like.
Yeah, because I'm going to say.
Or embarrassed.
Bitch, why didn't you do better? You know? Like.
No, like, but that's so, like, think about that. Talking to yourself as a little girl. Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, that is like a good thing to say.
But I think that's
a good way to do it.
I'm like bad about doing things like that. Or like standing in front of the mirror, like giving yourself a pep talk. Like, no, I couldn't.
Dude, please kill me before I ever have to do something like that. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of things you can do. But also talk to people. Like, if you're not going to go to the doctor, if you're not going to go to a therapist, rely on your friends. Yeah. Or if you feel embarrassed about how you're feeling, I bet you they're feeling it too. Yeah. That sort of thing. Like, don't think that you're the only person feeling this way, because it's not the case. Yeah. If you feel embarrassed, I bet you if you talk to someone, they would be like, dude, I hear you. Like, I get it.
Yeah, and if they don't, then you just need new friends. That's
if anyone ever makes you feel bad about a way you're feeling, that's crazy.
Yeah, me and my friend were texting each other the other night, literally just feeling the same exact way, like just garbage. Like pieces of shit, wanting to fucking not die, but like that's dramatic, but like just miserable. And I don't know what it was, but it was like the same. Like I texted her and she texted me. We felt literally exactly the same. And then the next day, I think we were just fine. But sometimes, like,
you just gotta let it out.
Yeah.
I do love a good cry.
Yeah.
That's my dude.
I feel like I haven't cried in so long.
I haven't. I cry like every day, but not like.
Do you really?
Serious? I've like almost cried 10 times in this episode. I'm like such a crier.
Oh my God.
I cry at You don't cry at TikToks every day?
I will get like teary-eyed or like want to cry, but like back to when I was taking Lexapro, I couldn't cry at fucking anything,
I know.
Dude.
That's like scary.
Like nothing. Like when I was in town, when our friend was in town when her dad passed, I like couldn't shed a tear.
Yeah. Like,
and obviously like I was fucking heartbroken for her, but I couldn't cry. Yeah. And like I feel like I still can't cry. Like I don't know. It's weird. Like I rarely cry.
Dude, I cry so much. But I feel like that's actually one of my biggest coping mechanisms is a good shower cry.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to cry it out.
I'll literally say to Dan, like, I'm going to go take a shower and cry. That's what I'm going to go do.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. Do I black out when I cry? Because I don't remember the last time I cried, but like, I know that I've cried since I've been in Oregon for sure. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's okay. You don't need to.
Do I just black everything out? Now I'm thinking.
That's a coping mechanism, right? Your brain's like, we're not going to think about this.
That's so dangerous.
We're wiping this out of our memory.
Yeah. Don't do that.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to us talk about this. Reach out to us if you have any thoughts or concerns. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah, please don't.
You can always talk to me and Kim about anything. I feel like we have quite a bit of life experience and we know a lot of things. So if you have no one to talk to, we're here for you, for real.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Bye.